They say every child deserves a parent, but not every parent deserves a child. In this case, that statement couldn't be more true. Mick Philpott didn't see his children as innocent lives to protect. To him, they were assets, a way to exploit the system and gain money. His greed consumed him, blinding him to even the most basic sense of humanity. Described by psychologists as narcissistic, manipulative, and psychopathic, Philpott left a trail of destruction in the lives of everyone around him. In this video, we're going to uncover how he and his accomplices were responsible for the deaths of 6 children, and how his past revealed exactly the kind of man he truly was. Mick Philpott was born in 1956 in Derby, England. Over the course of his life, he fathered 17 children with multiple women. At first glance, that might sound like a large, unconventional family, but the reality was far darker. Philpott was known for being violent, controlling, and deeply unstable. His abusive behavior began early. At just 19 years old, he entered a relationship with a 15-year-old girl named Kim Hill. At first, he appeared charming, even ideal. But that illusion didn't last long. Very quickly, his true nature surfaced. He became physically violent, often attacking Kim in public without hesitation. On one occasion, he struck her in the mouth with a pool cue, leaving her severely injured while bystanders watched in fear, too intimidated to intervene. His violence escalated over time. He broke her arm with a hammer. He fractured her kneecap. He constantly accused her of infidelity, even without reason, and used those accusations as justification for further abuse. In one shocking incident, he shot her in the groin with a crossbow simply because he believed her dress was too short. Despite the brutality, Kim stayed. Like many victims of abuse, she was trapped, fearful, manipulated, and isolated. She often lied about her injuries to protect him. After 2 years, she finally found the courage to leave. In July 1978, she sent him a letter ending the relationship. Philpott's response was immediate and horrifying. He broke into her home while she was in bed and stabbed her 27 times with a 9-inch knife. When her mother tried to intervene, he stabbed her 11 times as well. Both women were left fighting for their lives. As emergency services arrived, Philpott stood there holding the knife and reportedly said, "I wouldn't bother. She's a goner. I've done a good job on her." Miraculously, Kim survived, despite suffering catastrophic injuries including collapsed lungs and damage to multiple organs. During the trial, Philpott claimed self-defense, but the evidence told a different story. He was convicted of attempted murder and grievous bodily harm. And yet, he was sentenced to just over 7 years in prison and released after serving barely 3. That early release would prove to be a devastating mistake. After leaving prison in 1986, Philpott continued exactly where he left off. He married a woman named Pamela and had 3 children with her. The abuse didn't stop. Pamela was too terrified to report him, fully aware of what had happened to his previous partner. Eventually, he moved on to someone else. In 1993, he began a relationship with a 14-year-old girl named Heather. Once again, the pattern repeated. He was charming at first, then controlling, then violently abusive. He even encouraged his older children to be aggressive toward her. Heather later described him as having 2 completely different personalities, charismatic in public, but cruel and dangerous behind closed doors. She eventually escaped, but only after enduring years of fear and violence. Then came another woman, and another. Philpott consistently targeted vulnerable young women, often teenagers, often already in difficult situations. He inserted himself into their lives as a savior, only to trap them in a cycle of control and abuse. By the early 2000s, he was living with 2 women under the same roof, his wife Mered and his partner Lisa Willis. Between them, they had 11 children living in a cramped 3-bedroom council house. Philpott didn't work. Instead, he relied entirely on government benefits, actively having more children to increase the amount of money he received. He even attempted to gain public sympathy by appearing on television, portraying himself as a misunderstood father struggling to provide for his large family. But behind that image was a very different reality. He controlled every aspect of the household: finances, relationships, even basic freedoms. Both women lived in fear, unable to leave without consequences. In 2012, that fragile dynamic finally broke. Lisa had had enough. Without confrontation, she secretly left with her children, moving in with family to escape Philpott's control. For Philpott, this wasn't just a personal betrayal, it was a loss of power, and he wasn't willing to accept it. What he planned next would lead to unimaginable tragedy. Along with his wife, Mered, and a family friend, Paul Mosley, Philpott devised a plan to set fire to his own home. The idea was to frame Lisa, regain custody of the children, and ultimately benefit financially and socially from the situation. The plan was reckless, and it spiraled out of control almost immediately. In the early hours of May 11th, 2012, the fire was set. Within minutes, the flames spread rapidly through the house. The temperatures in the upstairs bedrooms became so extreme that survival was impossible. 6 children lost their lives: Jade, John, Jack, Jesse, Jaden, and Duane. All of them died from smoke inhalation. The community was devastated. Many couldn't comprehend how such a tragedy could happen, let alone that it could be caused by their own father. At first, Philpott appeared to play the role of a grieving parent, but investigators quickly noticed inconsistencies. His behavior didn't match the situation. Witnesses described him as strangely composed, even attention-seeking. Forensic evidence soon revealed the truth. Petrol traces were found on clothing. A fuel container was recovered. And crucially, hidden recordings captured conversations that directly implicated Philpott and his accomplices. In those recordings, he admitted fault. He discussed the plan. He revealed details that only someone involved could know. The illusion collapsed. Philpott, Mered, and Paul Mosley were arrested and charged. During the trial, it became clear that while they may not have intended to kill the children, they had willingly set the events in motion that led to their deaths. In 2013, all 3 were found guilty of manslaughter. Philpott received a life sentence with a minimum term of 15 years. The others received lengthy prison sentences as well. The case shocked the entire country, not just because of the crime itself, but because of how preventable it may have been. A man with a long history of extreme violence had been released early. Warning signs had been ignored, patterns had been overlooked. And in the end, 6 innocent lives paid the price. The question is unavoidable. Could this have been stopped?